Welcome to the Box Score Sports Podcast.
Let's do the ugly. Again, if you're watching on YouTube, let us know what your ugly is. But Clint, let's start with your ugly. What was your ugly for week 5?
All right. Well, I'm going to go with it. We talked about it a little before. Dolphins coaching is what I'll put it down
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
to. And I only put it down like I mean the obvious is if you decided to watch the Broncos and Jets game, you know, you're a better person than a lot of people. But we talked about this a little offline, and even just in my thinking, I think Mike McDaniel's is a smart guy. I mean, he was with the Niners, and when he has Tua, it looks, really good. But I don't know, like all the other coaches from that tree seem to be able to put in a backup quarterback and have a moniker of success. Whether like the Niners with Nick Mullins or even the Vikings had Nick Mullins. Like, I mean, you might not win games, but the offense still goes. You put up yards, you put up points. Um, Even the Packers did it with Malik Willis, and I think Tyler Huntley's probably better than Malik Willis, in all honesty, when it comes to throwing the ball. But if they don't have Tua, they literally can't do anything. I mean, was that Bills game? They put up some points last year, but Skylar Thompson and these guys don't even look close. Like there's just nothing happening, and it blows my mind because I think he is a really smart offensive mind, but I have no idea why he can't find or pull some backup quarterback to just chuck the ball all over. And they have better weapons than most of these teams that they can run out there, and it doesn't even look competent for stretches of the game.
Yeah, like even the run game isn't there when like one thing about the Packers, right? Like when Jordan Love went down, they brought in Willis and they're like, hey, we're just gonna run down. They can't even do that. They can't even run the ball effectively. So there's two things I wanted to say about this. So obviously, as a Dolphins fan, I was last year. I would have said that Mike McDaniels was a better head coach than Matt LaFleur. This year, I'm changing my mind. I'm going to say that because he's proven he can figure out ways to win when circumstances are sort of against him. So Matt LaFleur, better coach than Mike McDaniels at this point. I can't argue it at this point because there's evidence. Now, they built an offense around like precision, anticipation, like those types of passes. Everything that Tua excels at, right? Like is really great at. The problem is not a lot of quarterbacks are great at those things. So that's I think part of the issue is you bring in these quarterbacks that now you're putting them in a Tua focused offense and they don't know how to throw with anticipation. They don't know how to throw to a spot because that's how Tua plays, right? He throws to the spot and the receiver ends up in that spot. Maybe, quarterbacks usually, I don't know, like most quarterbacks I imagine that's what makes Tua good in that offensive scheme. So if you're a backup quarterback, you're probably part of the reason why you're backup is you're probably not good at anticipating, open lanes. With Huntley, to be fair, in this situation, he's only been with the team for like a week, right? So it's not like he's had a lot of time to prep and learn the offense. So he's limited. But what blew my mind yesterday, there was so much backward passes, so much 7-yard tosses back in the backfield. There was it wasn't like we were trying to go forward. We were going sideways the entire time. And so there was 2 long bombs. One he underthrew Hill, one he overthrew Hill. That timing will come. But for the most part, there was no passes in the middle of the field. There was no passes 10 yards. Like we talked about Goff in our great, who averaged 16 yards a pass. Huntley averaged 4 yards a pass. Right. That's rough. Like that's telling me you're checking down too much. If you're going to put a quarterback in there, you have to let him throw in the middle of the field or at least 10 yards downfield or more once in a great while. And they didn't really do that. I watched the whole game. I had 2 TVs. I had the Lions on the big TV because that was more entertaining. And I had Dolphin on the second TV. And it was just so hard to watch knowing and like the fans are booing the play decisions. You're doing draw plays on 3rd and 7. Like, are you trying to win? Like, you got to try to win. Like, I get like you're worried about this quarterback, but like, I'd rather him try to throw the ball 18 yards downfield and throw an interception than run a draw play at 3rd and 7, which didn't work the last 4 3rd and 7s you tried to do a draw play. So I'm with you. Ugly on the coaching. The game plan wasn't great. The defense, I want to give the defense credit though, because like they held in there as long as they possibly could. But man, the offense could not move the ball. I wanted to look at this. They were on the field almost the 10. They were on the field 35 minutes. The Titans were, and the Dolphins only 25 minutes. So the time of possession favored the Titans. The play count. Where's the play count? I just want to get the total play. Oh, right here, 62-54, which isn't bad actually. But like the defense held on as long as they could, and they did the same thing with Seattle. Like I think they played Seattle last week. The defense was fine for the longest time, but eventually it breaks. When the defense is looking at the scoreboard, it's like no matter how many times we stop this team, it doesn't matter. So I want to give the defense credit for doing their best. And then there was a cheap touchdown at the end too. So that throwing that out there.
Yeah, it just he seems to be the one that is just missing that. I mean he's young, so maybe
Mhm.
that'll come with experience. But I just felt like, like with the 49ers, you go from Jimmy Garoppolo, you put in Nick Mullins, and they lost a lot of games, but they still put up 20, 25 points. And then you go from that to like, oh, the guy we drafted last, and well, Brock Purdy will just bring him in. And I know that these are like outliers, but I feel like the other people in this system, like even the Vikings prior to Sam Darnold, like you have some injuries, you're like,
Mhm.
oh, hey, uh, Nick Mullins, he looks
Case
competent.
Keenum.
Yep. You're like, oh, look, he looks competent. Like, and so far, like Skylar Thompson, that's one of the guys they drafted. And you're right, Hundley, he had 5, 7 days, 8 days, whatever it was. You get it. But if you're going to put a guy in there and just throw it straight down the line of scrimmage, you're basically telling the defense, we don't trust this guy at all. And the
Yep.
defense is like, cool, we'll just play up. Because if you beat us with a bomb once or twice, we'll change. But until that, you're not going to do anything else besides throw it laterally, and the Titans have a respectable enough defense to run that down.
Yeah, yeah. And just with the Skylar Thompson thing, he was a 7th round pick, and I know that sometimes you can find gems, but like when you're a team like the Dolphins and you have the injury risk that Tua is, that like any concussion is going to put him out for a couple weeks because you're not going to put him out next week, not with his history. Like it could be cleared, he could clear, but you're still going to wait 4 weeks, 4 to 5 weeks to put him back out there. You need to have somebody back there that's like a veteran quarterback that can win games because you got to survive 2 to 3 weeks. You got to somehow win 2 to 3 games with him being gone for 5 weeks, 5 to 6 weeks. Skylar Thompson was never that guy to me. I don't know why they stuck with him. I don't know why they got rid of Mike White, but I think that's where the 49ers, other than the Purdy thing, they always kind of had players in there that they knew could play NFL football at quarterback. Skylar Thompson has never proven that. Even in those games against Buffalo, it was the defense and the special teams that kept us in the game, not Skylar Thompson. So,
And I think there's enough teams that run a similar system that you could pick up a backup to one of those that is a free agent that at least like, all right, this guy knows the plays. So if I call this play, he knows where the ball is supposed to go. There's plenty of guys that have come through this system now the last 5 years that you would think you could get someone in there to be like, all right, well, at least I know I don't have to totally alter my game plan.
correct. And just I, Ryan Tannehill's still a free agent. Like it blew my mind that they didn't even call him. I don't know if they didn't, but it never was reported that they did. And it's just like likely if you go 1-7, why would you bring Tua back to play this year? Right? You're not going to. So I don't know. I don't know. Rough scene for the Dolphins. I had them making the playoffs this year. I don't think that's going to happen with Tua being out. So I'm just throwing that out there. My ugly. We can just quickly hit on this because we spent way too much time on the ugly, but it's the Jets and Broncos game, the 10-9, the team that won the game through what 60 yards passing. I think that's the first or second time it ever happened in NFL history, something like that. It's really ridiculous. And I was kind of shocked that they couldn't get that last first down, but the Jets, in order to get the field goal closer to win it. But I just think overall it was a brutal game, and anybody who watched this entire game, good for you guys. I watched it, like I had Red Zone up, so I only saw glimpses of it, but the glimpses I saw, it looked pretty bad, but good for the Broncos, I guess, but this was an ugly game to watch.
It's extra bad for the Jets. This is the game you need.
Right.
Right. You can't lose to the Broncos, as much as the Broncos were one of my maybe dark horse. Or I think I actually picked the Broncos to be the 7th seed. So yay for me. I'll take the ugly win.
Okay,
but
sure.
The Jets just, I mean, it doesn't even look that good. I mean, they're not like beating anyone soundly. I mean, they were losing to the Titans until Will Levis decided to throw an upside down lateral backwards and turn it over. So something's off there between Rodgers and coaching. And it's concerning. I mean, Garrett Wilson is like invisible. I know they've had tough matchups, but I mean, we've kind of hyped this guy up to be like Devontae Adams 2.0, and I mean, he's just getting shut out of a lot of these games.
Yeah, and then Bryce Hall too. Like he's like a no-show so far. It's hard because I know he got injured and like he had a big injury, but you think he'd come back and be a little better by now, but he averaged 0.4 yards a carry in this game. That's rough. And I'm surprised, and I think if like this year goes south for the Jets, we might see Robert Saleh get the boot, because maybe like he always has his defense, like he's a good defensive coordinator, but maybe just being a head coach is just not in his wheelhouse. So we'll see what happens.
He's moving up the list.
Yes, for sure. Okay, let's move on to our game. We're going to play or talk. Thanks so much for watching this clip of the Box Score Sports podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to our channel. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter or X, and we'll talk to you guys real soon. See ya.